get it.
Very good.
So when we do at the beginning of this, go to the back.
Okay.
So you ready for the
Do I have a time for a potty break right now?
I think so.
Okay. I'll be right back.
All right. You ready? Sure. Ready as you'll ever be?
Sure.
Good morning, First Unitarian.
I am Reverend Mike Moran. It's my privilege to serve this historic, faithful congregation as minister. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you come from, whatever gods you worship or flirt with or deny or steadfastly avoid, you are welcome here in this historic community of faith. We are glad you're here. If this is your first visit with us today, you are invited to just let the offering basket pass you by when that comes around. Your presence is gift enough. Two things I need to do this morning before I call us to worship. And the first is I want to welcome Shara Smith to our sanctuary this morning, to our pulpit. Shara is the executive director of the Interfaith Alliance of Colorado. She began her career in academia, overseeing programs at places like MIT, Boston University, and teaching affiliate for Harvard Medical School. She later began her consultancy aimed at helping social justice-oriented nonprofits enhance their operations, program work, communications, and fundraising. She comes from a large interfaith family, is an animal lover, and a self-described March Madness fanatic. And I am just thrilled that she said yes when I asked her to speak today. Please give her a warm welcome. Second thing I need to do is let you know I have been unforgivably negligent in letting you know that we, as a congregation, we have joyfully hired Rhonda Williamson as our office administrator. Yeah, come on up and say hello. So you probably know that we originally hired Rhonda as our stewardship coordinator. You might know that since Glenn Barrows left last winter, Rhonda has been doing both those jobs, managing the office and stewardship coordinator. She's done a wonderful job, and the staff is really grateful that she's with us. Please welcome Rhonda to her new position. And if you get a chance, thank her for working her tail off the last 6 months in both those jobs. So thanks, Rhonda. Did you want to say something?
It's just, I'm very happy to be here. This is a great place. I've been a Unitarian for a long time and have worked in UU churches before as well as DRE and other things. So I'm delighted to be here as well. So happy to meet you all, whoever I haven't met. Thanks.
For a call to worship today, I want to share a short passage from Annie Dillard in her book Pilgrim at Tinker Creek. And in this passage, she's talking about God. And really what she's doing is she is just kind of laying a foundation for connecting with God or connecting with divinity or whatever word you want to use in that place. She writes this: God does not demand that we give up our personal dignity, that we throw in our lot with random people, that we lose ourselves and turn from all that is not God. God needs nothing, asks nothing, demands nothing like the stars. It is a life with God that demands these things. Experience has taught the race that if knowledge of God is the end, then these habits of life are not the means, but the conditions in which the means operate. You do not have to do these things, not at all. God does not, I regret to report, give a hoot. You do not have to do these things unless you want to know God. They work on you, not on God. You do not have to sit outside in the dark. If, however, you want to look at the stars, you will find that darkness is necessary, but the stars neither require nor demand it. That is not going to last. once again. Welcome this morning.
Good morning. I welcome you as well. Whoever you are, wherever you are welcome here. I invite you to turn to one another and look into someone's eyes and sing our welcome song with me. We are many, we are one. The light of the world is within you. Sacred and worthy is your soul. A place has been made for you.
Yonder come day, days are breaking. Yonder come day, oh my soul. Yonder come day, days are breaking, sun is arising in my soul. Oh, well, yonder come day, days are breaking, yonder come day, oh my soul. Yonder come day, days are breaking, sun is arising in my soul. Sing it with me. Yonder come day, days are breaking, yonder come day, oh my soul. Yonder come day, days are breaking, sun is arising in my soul. Yowza!
Good morning. Hi, everybody. This is my 7th day in a row here. Yeah, I know, not for you, just for me and a couple other people in the building. We had Imagine Camp this week. Woohoo! That's right. We had about 22 people in the building for the whole week, from rising kindergartners all the way through Matt, Davis, and myself. To do 40 hours of religious exploration and community building, which is the equivalent of one whole year of religious exploration for a family that would come every Sunday morning. Yeah, pretty awesome. Also very exhausting. Yeah, but we had a blast. It's the first one we've done since 2019. Yeah, it was so fun to be back together, and we're looking forward to doing it again next year. We went swimming, made new friends, and we talked a lot about community building. So this morning for Time for All Ages, our young and young at heart folks, come on up here, because I have a question for you. And I'm going to try to gather some answers from anybody who's willing to help out. We're going to talk this morning about resources. So I have a question for you. Have you ever purchased or carried an entire pack of toilet paper? Yes? Yeah. So I remember when I was a teenager, and my mom would make me carry that, from the cash register out to the car, and I was mortified. This enormous package of toilet paper. People are looking at me carry toilet paper. It was so embarrassing. And then there have been times in my life where I have been, and maybe for you too, have you ever found yourself in a bathroom without toilet paper? Yeah, down here, yes. Oh my gosh, when you realize that you are stuck in a situation without a resource that you really need, it's incredibly frustrating, isn't it? Yeah? And sometimes the only thing that we can do is ask for help when we're in those moments. But the times when we're carrying a whole package of toilet paper, we might not even realize that there's somebody somewhere else in the world sitting and needing one of those rolls of toilet paper right at that exact same moment, right? Just some perspective around resources. When there was a toilet paper shortage during the pandemic, I became incredibly aware of how I was using the toilet paper in my house. how much we had, what our plan was to access more when we ran out, and I also shared the resources that I had with neighbors who would run out. One role made a huge difference. So each of us manage a lot of resources every day, even things we might not think of as resources. And so my question for folks gathered up here is, what are some resources that you use almost every day or every day? Can you think of anything? Cora.
Water and food.
Water and food, absolutely. Yeah, other resources.
I like designing things, pencil and paper.
All right, pencils and paper, and maybe creativity. Would that count as a resource?
Toys for kids so they don't stop bothering the parents.
Toys for kids so they maybe stop bothering their parents. Is that what you were saying? Toys as a resource. Entertainment as a resource. Sure. Other resources? You don't have to come up with all of them because there's like 8 categories, but do you want to go ahead?
If you're baking, maybe some resources were like sugar or flour or baking soda.
Some ingredients to make something, to make parts of a whole, yeah? Okay. So I have listed a bunch of different types of resources here just to think about as you think about what you use during your day. So our environment is a resource. My example for that is, have you ever seen a bear with an itchy back? And they can't itch their own back, so what do?
They use a tree.
Yeah, they'll use their environment, right? They'll find a tree or something they can rub up against in order to scratch their back. They had a need and they needed a resource. So our environment is a resource. One that people think of almost always right away is money. Finances are a resource. So the things that we buy with the money or the services we buy with the money, those are resources. Our physical health is a resource that helps us breathe and move and be in the world. Our brains and how they think and function and process information is a really valuable resource. Our language and communication is a resource that we start using when we are born, even before we have words. We also have time and energy as resources, along with education and life experience and support systems, community, relationships, and even, and this is what I've been working towards, spirituality. Spirituality is a resource in our life, and it's what gives us hope and values and self-worth, purpose, and a feeling of connection outward, and feeling able to change a situation or impact a situation inwardly. Without spiritual resources, we might lose hope, or we might feel useless or listless. Spiritual community, like the one that we have here and the one that we had this whole week, help us build up that resource so that we can have it with us when we leave this building and go out into the world and into the rest of our lives. Spirituality is a resource that I went without for a really long time, and I was really frustrated when I saw other people who had spirituality in their lives. It made me like angry and frustrated at them, even if I didn't know them. And I didn't realize that my anger was really about me and that I was lacking a resource that I didn't have. And then I found this community, and it has changed my life, and it has changed me. Having access to a resource that I didn't have before has made me a different person and a version of myself that I like a lot better than I did without it. So my spiritual resources, when I'm all by myself, bring me great comfort and peace, and then I come here to this church and this place with these people to kind of plug in and recharge my spiritual resources, the way that you might plug in a phone so that its battery builds up power and you can carry it away from the electric source that you use to charge it. So coming here for me is a spiritual resource. Hopefully it is for everybody else in this room, whether it's been one day or 1 week or 1 year, or you don't even remember how long it's been. Coming into this place is a way to recharge your spiritual community resources. Being without a resource is frustrating, whether it's toilet paper or money or community or spiritual connection. And so I'm just really glad and grateful that each of you walked through those doors this morning to recharge yourselves so that you can go back out into the world and carry the best version of yourself with you when you go. We are going to join in singing our children out to story time upstairs for more community building, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
Good morning again. We're going to sing together. The text of our hymn is a traditional Buddhist meditation. It's metta, the loving kindness prayer. So we will join in sending loving kindness to ourselves, to others, and to all of us together. Would you please rise in body or in spirit and join in singing hymn number 1031 in your teal hymnal, Filled with Loving Kindness.
We'll sing 3 verses. May I be filled. May you be filled. And the third verse, may we be filled. May we be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be whole.
May you be filled.
May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be well.
May we be filled.
May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be peaceful and at ease. May we be whole.
Good morning, I'm Eddie Carroll, and I serve on the Board of Trustees here at First Unitarian. Today's offertory words come from us from the Reverend Erica Hewitt. The offertory that we take each Sunday isn't just a stale habit. It's an opportunity to reconnect to this place and to this people. Our offering is an affirmation, a yes. When we give, we say yes to something we value. With our gifts freely given, may we say yes to the values of our faith. May our offering help us to practice Unitarian Universalism within and beyond our congregation, and as tools to empower our mission, which my phone just left the mission. There we go. And First Unitarian mission is joining hands and voices for justice and peace. We inspire lives of joy and spiritual integrity, growing an inclusive community of courage and caring. Community is inspired. Justice is realized. Diversity is celebrated. Souls are grown in love and service. Blessed be. Please give generously as the baskets are passed.
Your gifts freely given are gratefully received. Thank you for your contributions, your generosity to support the life and work of this congregation. I want to take just a moment and recognize and acknowledge that we are part of the network of congregations that make up the Family Promise Network. That's an outreach to homeless families, and we are starting a 2-week rotation this evening. So 4 homeless families will be moving into our building this afternoon, and we'll be hosting them and feeding them for the next couple of weeks. If you are one of the folks who has helped out with that, either presently or in the past, would you just stand up briefly so we can recognize and thank you for your efforts to do that? Thank you. I need to hold up a few joys and concerns of our larger community with great sadness. I need to let you know that Myrna Seiler passed away last Tuesday. She was 90 years old, and Myrna has been a thoughtful, loving presence here at First Unitarian for many decades. There will be a memorial service for Myrna right here in this room this coming Thursday at 2 p.m. This morning, we grieve with Ann Kerrigan, whose mother passed away last Thursday. And Ann, I'm not sure if you're here, but if you're out there, here or out there somewhere, I hope you feel the love and support of this community in this time of transition for you and your family. We send prayers of comfort and healing today to George Mitzel, who's been admitted to a memory care unit this past week. We hope that's a temporary placement for him. Sue Mitchell said, "I could share with you that for the moment, things look relatively stable." She agreed with those words exactly. For the moment, things look relatively stable. Cards are welcome. And lastly, I know of 3 members of our congregation that have contracted COVID in the last 10 days or so. Please send some healing energy out to Sally Ortiz and to Mike and Kathy Cranmer. Grace Sutherland, Gray Sutherland Rice. You know, we live in some pretty perilous times. Troubled, dangerous for many. I want to note by way of a prayer that we who gather here in community in this perilous time, we're not just spectators. We're not just passing by. We are not outsiders looking in. And with that, I urge you to remember that the love that will sustain us and everything we value is part of a larger love that moves through all of creation, and it moves through you. Some people call that love God. Some people call it the mystery at the heart of the universe. The language is not important, at least to me. I call it love, and I believe it moves, and it moves through us, you and I and we. This love is a gift. It is given freely by the universe. It is yours. You can recognize this love and its presence in your body and soul by some very simple things. By the warmth that is created when you share your soul with another. By the deep longing, that urge you sometimes feel to create balance and harmony within yourself and your community. You can feel this love and recognize it moving within you by a sense of gratitude you can't even explain, rising up within the soul. You can feel this by the satisfaction that you feel in doing something good, of expressing this love, giving it voice, giving it hands, giving it life. Tap into this love. Own it. Use this love. God knows the world needs us to do that. Use this love to speak the truth. Use this love to call evil by its name, to speak of comfort to the suffering, and of rest to the overworked. Use this love to support, uplift, strengthen, and honor the good and the noble in this world. Use this love to guide, embrace, and call forth the beloved community. With such a gift as this, we can do no less. Amen.
In a moment, I invite you to join us in a time of singing meditation. The text of our chant is Kosi Revaya, which translates as "My cup overflows." And Barry will play the melody twice on the flute. And then after that, I invite you to join in singing or humming or simply receiving the sound.
morning, everyone. Do you guys mind if I sit? I was going to sit anyway because I'm actually recovering from a very unfortunate car accident. So I'm going to sit today, even if there's someone in the room who said no, thank you. But I am so happy to see all of you here this morning. Thank you. My name is Shara Smith, and I'm the executive director of the Interfaith Alliance of Colorado. And it is truly an honor to be here with you this morning to share part of my spiritual journey. So I started at Interfaith just over a year ago after running a 54-year-old interfaith organization back east called Pachimenteras. I came to the interfaith space after having worked in the nonprofit sector for many years. And what drew me to this space was not only my background in coming from an interfaith family, as Reverend Moran mentioned, but also the question of how do we positively transform society? You know, when I talk to people about my role at Interfaith, sometimes they say, you know, I'm not really into that religion thing, or, you know, faith just isn't really for me. But these same people will also share their deep commitment and desire to positively transforming society. Their focus is usually on public policy or advocacy, and on the one hand, I get it. Interfaith itself is a public policy and advocacy organization. But my question is, how do we positively transform society without addressing faith? Without addressing what people believe, what we believe about ourselves, what we believe about each other, what we believe about society as a whole. Sure, we can pass new laws, make new policy, but those laws can change depending on who's in office after the next election. We can focus on advocacy, but how do we effectively advocate for ourselves and others without addressing what we believe about the dignity of our own lives, the dignity of others' lives? In my opinion, we cannot positively transform society without addressing faith, without addressing what we believe. Now, if you believe that people should treat each other with kindness and respect, that's a belief, right? If you believe our lives are all interconnected, that's also a belief. I think sometimes we get caught up thinking that what is possible is limited by what we can see. To me, this is what faith helps us to overcome. It helps us to see the things that we can't see with our eyes. And those things can be potential in a person or a situation, or a solution to a problem or a way through an impasse. Belief is the spark that makes the breakthrough possible. And faith is what makes it possible for us to believe in the things we can't see with our eyes. Religion is the earth from which culture flourishes. This is a quote from an international Buddhist scholar named Dr. Daisaku Ikeda. In his dialogue with British historian Arnold Toynbee, they discuss the concept of self-mastery, or what Nichiren Buddhism refers to as human revolution, and the connection between self-mastery and the positive transformation of society. Professor Toynbee stated that self-mastery is indispensable for resolving the crises confronting humanity. He stated, "The struggle to master oneself is the personal action of each individual human being." In response, Dr. Ikeda stated, "The inner victory of each individual will lead to a great positive development in society and eventually even change the course of human history itself. And faith is the source of limitless strength." So what are they really saying here? Well, they're declaring that my personal victory, your personal victory, self-mastery, will lead to a positive transformation in society. So how is that possible? You know, when I read this, I came to the conclusion that in order for that to be possible, there are two things that must be true. Number one, our lives are interconnected. If you think about our lives as being part of a great web, if you pull on one part of the web, that pulling is felt on other parts of the web as well. Dr. Ikeda describes this by saying, each form of life supports all others. Together, they weave the grand web of life. There really is no happiness for oneself alone, no suffering that only afflicts others. And number two, and this one admittedly can be a tough one, our struggles are not just for our own sake. That whatever we are challenging, our personal victory, like the pulling on a web, leads to a shift in our families, our communities, and society. So then, what does self-mastery or human revolution mean? It means winning over ourselves. It means whatever the situation, wherever it originates, challenging our own personal weaknesses and growing as human beings is the key. Now, maybe this all sounds nice, but what does it look like in daily life? Well, I'll tell you. So years ago, I worked for a national organization that had affiliates across the country. Each state affiliate had its own board, staff, and volunteers, and it was my job to manage the affiliates for the national organization. At a certain point, the national organization determined that it needed to change its operating model. But when they announced that to the affiliates, instead of agreeing to the new structure, there was a lot of resistance and tension between the affiliates and national. The affiliates wanted to keep doing what they were already doing, while national wanted them to adopt the changes. The situation deteriorated to a point where my executive director at the time came to me and told me that the negotiations were not going well and that the next step was to get the lawyers involved. This was the worst case scenario and most certainly meant that things would get messy for everyone. I suggested an alternative to my executive director. I suggested that we live our values and lead with dialogue. Rather than telling the affiliates, this is how it's going to be, why not go visit each of them, talk with them, show them the new operating model, and request their input? I figured even if they complain about the new operating plan, the process itself enables us to identify where the points of tension are so that we could refine the plan into something that they might be willing to accept. So what was my director's response? Well, she said, great idea. How soon can you leave? You know how it goes. When you have a great idea, that usually means you're volunteering to do the work, right? So I packed my bags and I got on a plane. I visited each affiliate, met with their board, their staff, their volunteers. I'd spend 14 hours out of each day just going from meeting to meeting to meeting, engaging in dialogue and collecting feedback. When I came home from one trip, I'd be home for maybe a day or two before having to leave again to travel to my next destination. Things were like this for a while, but I was willing to do it because I wanted to show consideration and respect for each person involved. I believed that approaching the changes in this manner would enable the individuals involved to feel heard and respected. Despite this sincerity, there were very challenging circumstances that awaited me in each state that I visited. More often than not, I was walking into rooms where I was not only distrusted, but also unwanted. However, I didn't let this deter me. I would encourage each board member, staff, and volunteer to just give it to me straight so that I could know where the points of tension were and hopefully refine the operating model to address their concerns. The Christian Bible, Psalm 90, verse 12 states, "Teach us to use wisely all the time we have so that we can have a heart of wisdom." I continue to meet and engage in dialogue, but eventually found myself at a point where my optimism was spent. I was physically fatigued by the constant traveling, and so was my cat. Actually, she peed in my suitcase right before one of my trips, and I called her a bad kitty, and then I left, and then I felt horrible for the whole trip for calling her that and then leaving. I was also frustrated by the outright defiance of the affiliates, despite our efforts, my efforts, to be inclusive and thoughtful. Things came to a head on my visit to our Philadelphia affiliate and during my meeting with their board chair. She was known for having a bit of a prickly personality and for offending and repelling most people she interacted with. I sat with her as I had with others and walked her through the proposed operating model, requested her specific feedback on what was workable, what was not, and why. Her obstinance was on full display, and I found myself approaching the limits of my forbearance. In previous meetings with other affiliates, I had the opportunity to take periodic breaks and would pray during those moments to recenter myself before going back into the negotiations. I didn't have that in my meeting with her, and I found myself sitting across from the most challenging personality we had and feeling completely out of patience. My lesser self wanted to say, look, this is how it's going to be, and that's that. And if you don't like it, then you can tell that to the lawyers. After all, no one would blame me. Everyone felt she was difficult to deal with. My greater self said, no, asserting myself in that way would be an act of aggression. An aggression, asserting oneself above others, disregarding the dignity of their lives, only leads to increased aggression. I went back and forth like this internally for a while, and then I came to a realization. There was a part of me that wanted to tell her off. To tell her she had the choice of either dealing with me or dealing with the lawyers, and that was that. I wanted to play that card because I felt frustrated by her reactions. I felt disrespected and not appreciated for the tremendous effort I was putting forth to hear her out, despite the national office wanting to approach things with a much heavier hand. In that moment of realizing that I wanted to tell her, look, it's me or the lawyers, I also realized that that feeling of being disrespected was trying to seduce me into responding with aggression and disrespect in return. When I realized that I was being influenced by my own negativity, I had a moment of clarity. I determined that no matter how much this woman frustrated me, no matter how long we sat and went over the plan over and over again, I was not going to use the lawyers as leverage to force her to agree. I determined that the real battle in the moment was not the woman sitting across from me, but that voice telling me to abandon my values because I felt disrespected, because I felt frustrated, and because nobody likes her, and because. I determined in that moment to take aggression off the table and return to the negotiation with belief that a solution was possible. There was nothing that my eyes could see to support that conclusion. It was truly an act of faith. I said a prayer under my breath to hold fast to this determination and re-entered the fray. Right after I made that determination, something amazing happened. A dynamic solution to her complaints regarding the operating model very naturally and quietly just rose to the surface. As quickly as it occurred to me, I suggested it to her and then awaited her response. After pausing for several moments, she replied in agreement and said she'd be willing to support the proposal based on this new approach. I was floored. We'd negotiated for hours. I kept the lawyers in my back pocket as that final card that I had to play if she remained disagreeable. National had worked on the operating model for months, yet in a matter of moments, after I determined to take aggression off the table, the solution presented itself. In that moment, I realized that the solution had been there all along, but that it would not present itself until I challenged my own weaknesses in the moment, until I let go of aggression as a potential solution. The moment I took aggression off the table, the solution presented itself very naturally and as a matter of fact. Judaism teaches that conflict is our fear, misunderstanding, and inability to get beyond our own demons and rise above them. It teaches that life is precious, that the petty stuff is not important, and that it's important to put things in proper perspective. We must be willing to challenge our own weaknesses, the preconceived notions that we hold on to about what's possible for ourselves, for others, and for our communities. Nichiren Buddhism states that faith equals daily life. This means that our daily lives provide the perfect opportunity to show our faith by living our values, and particularly in moments when we've lost patience, feel challenged, or the seduction to abandon our values is strong. Dr. Daisaku Ikeda states, faith enables us to live with vigor and joy and to strive to improve ourselves, to become the very best people we can be. Moreover, faith enables us to walk through life with complete assurance and confidence, unafraid of anything. The board chair not only agreed to support the new operating plan, she also became an outspoken champion for the new plan, even convincing other affiliates to support it as well. This experience taught me some very important lessons. Number one, there is unlimited potential in each moment, and it is often our own lack of faith that prevents us from tapping into that potential. Number two, faith makes it possible to see the things we can't see with our eyes. And number three, our struggles are not only for our own sake. Our daily life, the things we go through or challenge on a daily basis, are the perfect opportunity to show our faith by living our values. Dr. Ikeda and Professor Toynbee concluded that winning over ourselves entails transcending the lesser self that is dominated by egoism and bringing forth the greater self that is oriented to serving the welfare and happiness of others. So, let's do our human revolution. Let's win over ourselves and utilize our daily lives to live our values and to win through faith. What do you say? Can we do it? Excellent. I want to thank you all so much for your long attention. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share my faith journey with you today. And thank you so much for Reverend Mike and giving me the chance to be here with all of you today. Thank you so much.
We're going to sing together about our faith, our joy, our hope, and our love. Would you please rise in body or spirit and join in singing hymn 368 in your gray hymnal, Now Let Us Sing. We are going to start with the lower part, Now Let Us Sing. And once we sing that through, Tom and I will move to the higher part, but you can stay on the lower part if you like it better. Stay there. All right, you ready?
Now let us sing, 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 sing. Now let us sing, 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 sing. Lift up your voice, be not afraid.
Let us sing to the power of the
voice within.
Sing to the power, to the power of the
Faith within. Sing to the power of the faith within. Lift up your voice. Be not afraid. Sing to the power of the faith within.
hope. Sing to the power of the
Faith within. Sing to the power of the hope within. Lift up your voice. Lift up your voice. Sing to the power of the faith within.
love. Sing to the power of the
Love within. Sing to the power of the love within. Oh, voices, be not afraid. Let's sing to the power of the love within.
joy.
Sing to the power of the joy within. Sing to the power of the joy within. Lift up your voice. Be not afraid. Sing to the power of the light within.
Please remain standing and join in singing our closing affirmation. At the end of our closing affirmation, please remain standing for our benediction.
Behind all our differences and beneath our diversity, there is a unity that makes us one and binds us forever together throughout all time, through life and death, and the space between the stars. Throughout all time, through life and death, and the space between the stars.
I want to let you know we will have coffee this morning, but it's going to be outside, so please join us. And before I do the benediction, can I just ask you to show just a little more love to our guest speaker and to our musicians? What is my purpose in life? I asked the void. What if I told you that you fulfilled it when you took an extra hour to talk to that kid about his life? Said the voice. Or when you paid for that young couple in the restaurant, or when you saved that dog in traffic, or when you tied your father's shoes for him. Your problem is that you equate purpose with goal-based achievement. God or the universe or morality isn't interested in your achievements, only in your heart. When you choose to act out of kindness, compassion, and love, you are already aligned with your true purpose. You need look no further. Amen. Our service is ended. Go in peace.